Have you ever really, truly thought about what it takes to get food onto your plate? Well, today we're diving in. We're going to take a high-speed tour of OBT351, a course that just peels back all the layers of food science. And listen, this isn't just about what you eat. It's about how it gets to you and what it actually does inside your body. So let's get into it. You know, behind every single meal, there's this hidden world of science. From the farm to the lab and then finally to your kitchen, it is a massive journey. It's packed with incredible technology and just super rigorous safety checks. We're about to pull back that curtain and show you how amazing this whole process really is. Okay, so here's our game plan. We've broken this huge topic down into 5 key areas. We're going to start at the very beginning with food sources. Then we're going to zoom way in, down to the molecular level. After that, we'll explore the future of food tech, understand its connection to our health, and finally, we'll tackle some of the biggest debates happening in the food world right now. All right, first up, Unit 1. We are going right back to the fundamentals. Before we can even begin to talk about nutrition or cool technology, we have to understand the most basic thing. Where does our food actually come from? And maybe just as important, what systems are in place to protect us and keep it safe? So broadly speaking, our food comes from 2 main kingdoms, plants and animals. Plants obviously give us this huge variety of nutrients, but animal products, they provide some things that are really tough to get anywhere else. Take vitamin B12, for example. You can pretty much only find that naturally in animal sources. Plus, a lot of nutrients from animals are more bioavailable. That's a fancy word that just means our bodies can absorb and use them way more easily. It's all about that balance. Just think about the last meal you had for a second. Chances are you ate a whole bunch of different plant parts, and you probably didn't even realize it. We eat roots, like carrots, stems, like potatoes, we eat leaves, like spinach, and even flowers, like broccoli. And of course, we eat seeds, which give us staples like bread and rice. It is absolutely amazing how much of the plant world ends up on our dinner plates. So, with all this food coming from all these places, how do we make sure it's safe? Well, one of the most important ideas in the entire food industry is something called HACCP. Now, this isn't about testing a batch of cookies at the end and just hoping for the best. No. It's a proactive, preventative system that looks at the entire process to find potential dangers and stop them before they ever become a problem. This diagram really shows you how it works. Think of it this way. Just like a pilot has a pre-flight checklist, food producers have HACCP. They figure out what could go wrong, they find the critical points where they can control it, and then they monitor those points constantly. For instance, at a dairy, the pasteurization temperature is a critical control point. If you get that wrong, you've got a serious problem. But if you get it right every single time, that milk is safe to drink. Okay, now that we've got the big picture on food safety, let's zoom in. Let's get a closer look. What are the actual building blocks that make up our food? In Unit 2, we're going down to the molecular level. So it's really crucial to get these categories. You've got your macronutrients, that's your carbs, proteins, and fats, and they're what give us energy. Then you have the micronutrients, vitamins and minerals. We need them in smaller amounts, but they are absolutely essential for our bodies to function. And then you have food additives, things like flavors and colors that might be added during processing. And this is where food science gets really cool. We're not just finding additives in nature anymore. Now, we're actually designing them in a lab. Using biotechnology, scientists can create something called recombinant enzymes. Just think of them as tiny, custom-built tools that can make bread softer, or cheese ripen faster, or even make your juice clearer. This has been a total game changer for food production, and it's the perfect lead-in to our next unit. Welcome to Unit 3, where things get incredibly small and incredibly powerful. We are talking about nano-food technology, basically learning to manipulate matter on an atomic scale to completely revolutionize our food. I know, this diagram looks pretty complex, because it is, but here's the core idea. Scientists are using natural ingredients, like chitin from shrimp shells, to create these unbelievably tiny, microscopic packages. These nanoparticles can then be filled up with nutrients or other good stuff. This diagram is showing the whole process, how they build these little packages and then test them to make sure they're safe. It's basically like building a tiny, invisible delivery truck for vitamins. So, what's the point of all this tiny tech? Well, the possibilities are just mind-blowing. Imagine a food package that actually changes color when the food inside is about to go bad. Or what about a salt substitute made of nanoparticles that gives you that same salty taste but with way less sodium? This isn't science fiction, folks. This is the future of food that scientists are working on right now.
For Unit 4, we're going to shift our focus. We're moving away from the food itself and looking at its final destination, our bodies. What is the deep, profound connection between what we eat, the way we live, and our overall health? So, the course material breaks this down in a really helpful way into two types of disorders. First, you have type 1. These are directly linked to our lifestyle choices and stress levels. Think things like obesity and hypertension. Then you have type 2, which are more systemic. They involve deeper issues within the body's systems, like diabetes or cancer. Though, of course, diet still plays a critical role there too.
So what's the bottom line here? What's the takeaway? It really all comes down to energy balance. I want you to think of your body like a bank account. You make deposits with the food you eat, and you make withdrawals with all your activities during the day. To stay healthy, you have to balance those deposits and withdrawals. It's such a simple concept, but it is truly the foundation of a healthy life.
And that brings us to our final stop, Unit 5. This is where we get into the big, modern-day issues and debates, the stuff you hear about in the news. And we're starting with one of the most talked about topics in all of food science.
Genetically modified foods, or GM foods. You've heard of them, and I bet you've heard some pretty strong opinions on both sides. This is, without a doubt, one of the most heated debates in the food world. At its core, the science is about altering a plant's DNA to give it some kind of benefit, like being resistant to bugs or drought, but the conversation around it is about so much more. Now, we're not here to tell you what to think, but to help you understand what the debate is actually about. These are the big questions that are driving the whole conversation. People want to know what's in their food, so labeling is a huge, huge issue. There are also scientific questions about whether the nutrients in GM foods are as available to our bodies, and of course, what the long-term health effects might be. And then there's the debate about government oversight. On the flip side, people who support GM crops point to their potential to feed more people, use fewer pesticides, and even add nutrients to staple foods. It's a really complex issue, and there are no easy answers. So as we come to the end of this incredible tour, let's just remember this one thing. Food is so much more than just fuel. It's a story. It's a story of science, of culture, of health, and our connection to the entire planet. And understanding that story, that's the first step to making better choices for ourselves and for everyone else. Wow. So we've journeyed from the soil all the way down to the cell, from public policy right to your plate. We've basically laid out the roadmap for this whole subject. The only question left is, now that you have this framework, what part of this fascinating world are you most curious to explore next?